And I finally started using my laptop. A month after I bought it, I finally started using my laptop more, which is really good. I actually really like it now. I went and did a meeting with Shay last week on Thursday, and I took it with me, and we went to like a pub and sat there and like just chatted about stuff and worked on some ideas. And then today I've been using it to work on some like updating all of my spreadsheets. So I do a spreadsheet for my fitness stuff, and I do a spreadsheet for my budget stuff. I was starting to do one for content where I wanted to make a thing about tracking all my analytics and statistics just to see for like the next year. And then Shay was like, "You silly gnome," and I was like, "Oh right, that exists," and immediately deleted it. I spent like 20 minutes on this thing of just like putting it together, making the tabs, and I was like, "Oh right, I don't have to do this at all. There is literally a website that will do this for me." So I just deleted that, and so that was a good use of my time. But I achieved most of the things that I wanted to today. You can't see it, but I have this like whiteboard that I've had for ages. It has a big dent in it from like the last time I moved. I think I've had it for years, maybe since like the first apartment I was in when I streamed. That like long time. It's still fine. It does the job. So what I did was because I cleared this space out, because I said I cleared my office, I've put it on the wall here, and that way I can write ideas down on it. And so far what I've written on it is just like some of the goals I have for the stream, some of like the ideas in terms of how I want to plan my videos, and like general like aims, like personal / global aims that are to do with like streaming, making content, but you know, my personal approach to it, rather than just being like, you know, viewership, like metrics, numbers. It's more like ambiguous, like intangible things, you know. So it's like, you know, getting creative fulfillment from making I'm just reading off it, you know, making my friends and making people laugh, and just, you know, general things like that, of concepts that I want to hold while I'm trying to make things, because that is my goal, is to make stuff that people, one, that I like making and would want to see, and two, content that people would like to watch and would like to see as well. So I know it shouldn't need to be written down, but sometimes it's really good to have it like physically there and staring you in the face, and then also this staring you in the face, to really kind of keep you on track, right? Because sometimes it's hard to keep yourself accountable when it's just you, and like friends can do it and everything, and we, like Shay and I are really good at that, of like holding each other accountable and getting each other kind of motivated to do stuff, and that's something I really love about our friendship. But sometimes you've got to, that's all well and good, but if you're not actually doing it yourself, and you're not actually motivating yourself, and it all comes from an external source, then it can be really difficult to motivate yourself when those things aren't around. Because that's the whole thing with creating content too, is you want to be able to make it sustainable, where you can do it on your own, and anyone that's helping you is just an added bonus. Same as like a relationship, almost, of being self-sufficient and being independent, not like too independent in that way of like you can't let anyone in, but being independent enough where you can work autonomously on your own and get stuff done. And then anyone that kind of comes in on that situation is just like an additive bonus to that and what you're trying to achieve, whether it is a relationship, whether it is making content, whether it's making films, or whatever it might be. So trying to make it, you know, the lower the bar of entry, make it as feasible and sustainable as possible. So that's what I did here, and I just kind of came up with a couple of things of like must-haves. And so I have this thing called the pillars of a video. You know, I take it all with a grain of salt, because it's not like I can really sit here and say, I've proven this and this is successful and blah, blah, blah. But I came up with something called pillars of a video. It's definitely not original, but it's just an amalgamation of ideas that I've got from other places. And it's that it should always have one of these three things, and should have at least one of the other two things. So the three things are high quality, entertaining, or educational. It should always be high quality, and it should be at least entertaining or educational. Ideally all three, but it should have two of the three. kind of like the good, fast, cheap, and you have to pick two. It's that kind of concept, but it should always be as high quality as you can make it. That doesn't necessarily mean the quality of the camera or anything like that. Ideally, audio should always be good, but it just means the quality of the content that you're making, not just the superfluous qualities that you can get from having a high bit rate or having a nicer camera or having a nicer microphone. Those things will come in time, and those can always be changed, and those can be improved in other ways. You know, we've talked about lighting and things like that before on the channel. But making sure that the content of what you're making is of high quality is the most important part, because ultimately, yes, it's good for something to take off and to be noticed and be recognized, or to have a good thumbnail and have a good title. But if there's no value in the thing that you're making, it's all kind of for naught, right? So I always use the term, and Shane, I use this term all the time, is calling stuff non-tent. So you have content and non-tent, which is just you're making stuff for the sake of it. It's all filler. There's nothing really of value to it. And being able to actually make content is hard, and making good content is hard. So it's like putting thought into what you're trying to do, trying to be somewhat cohesive in your ideas. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be right straight off the bat. Like, the more important thing is about making it and doing it and getting into the routine of doing it. But it's more about making sure that it's worth a viewer's time. Like, be objective with things that you're making. Don't make non-tent. I saw a video of this, of a creator that I really like, and they put a video out. It was like 6-minute video, and it was just them talking about nothing. It was the most like, there was no point in this. Like, this could have been a tweet, you know? It was such non-tent, and I was kind of like, that kind of like bugged me, because this felt just like, I have to put a video out. I'm just gonna do this. It wasn't anything that they were passionate about. It wasn't anything to do with the kind of content that they make. It didn't really add any value of any kind, really, like, to anyone. And so I was like, this is kind of a weird video to put out. And that's the stuff I don't want to do, where I'm just putting out stuff for the sake of it. And that's why I've kind of written all this out of like what I want to achieve with my channel, what I want to achieve with my content, having the pillars of at least always high quality and at least entertaining. If it's not entertaining, it's at least educational. Ideally, you want edutainment, right? You want the educational stuff to be entertaining too, because otherwise it's just a boring lecture. But at the very least, it's one or the other, whether it's like a high quality tutorial or just something that's really fun and is high quality and has value to that. So that's what I've been working on today. Happy that I've got that up. I'm going to keep referring to that as much as I can and try and keep going and making the best content that I can. So yeah.